Hello, and welcome to Season 3 of our Stalker Dark Phantom. We're level 32 now, and we are on a story arc for Neil Kendrick. And I've also cleared my mission with Philippa Mero, and we can now do corporate culture, so we'll get on a story arc for her as soon as we're done with this story arc. We've finished Season 2, we're on Season 3, and basically Season 3 is, well, we're fully enhanced. We've got damage on stuff. We've started putting our non-set inventions, our generic inventions on all of our powers as we get them. And I don't know, guys, should we try setting this on +2? Let's try it once and see how it goes. I checked. Silver Phoenix was still on +1s at level 32. But yeah, we can try it and see how we do. If it takes too long, if I'm whiffing too much, if it gets too annoying, we'll put it back on +1. But let's try +2. I don't know when I moved Silver Phoenix up to +2. I think it might have been after we got the ATO sets, and we might need to wait for that with this character too. But I don't remember. They've changed some things about the sets, and it's different between Rebirth and here. And I don't really remember if the sets always only required merits, or if it also required sort of fewer merits but some influence. I feel like it did for a while, and then they changed it so that it was just merits, but they made it more merits. I can't remember now. So it's possible that Silver Phoenix was faster or slower because of that. I just don't remember, and I didn't watch enough of my back videos to know that. Now this is going to be fine. The oranges, we've done that, but when we get to the reds, it could be a bit of a challenge. It will be a bit of a challenge. We'll just have to see what happens. And we might end up fighting a +2 elite boss, which might be a little too much for us. Maybe I should have waited till the story arc ended, but well, we'll do what we can. We have a bunch of inspirations, and we do have Placate, and we have these other powers that we can use to do things like gain endurance and that sort of stuff. So we should be okay. We have a heal. And now, because of the 3 reses that we've had to deal with, we might need to gain some endurance as well. Yeah, we're going to need to get some endurance. Let's get it from both of these guys. God, it always takes so many more blows after they dull pain. Great as a player when you do it. Frustrating when they do it. Okay, so we need to defeat the freak leaders and their crews. So what did I say, guys? Did I say, I think I did, that if we put it on +2, I would start stalking the missions, but let's just see how we do. This is probably the earliest I've ever set something on +2, but I just feel like the +1s, the +2 spawns are fine. This is a perfectly reasonable difficulty for this character. You know, it's forcing me to actually really work for it without being insanely threatening, where I'm always worrying that the character's health bar is in trouble. But we do have these purples now, and the bosses are going to be deep purple. Right, a +3 boss is going to be pretty rough. So we'll see how we do. You can see, however, +3 lieutenants, not so bad. If we can control things, you know, in terms of the aggro, right? This guy didn't aggro to us here. If we can control the aggro, we're probably okay. It's going to be almost impossible to stop them from dull pain, just because they have so many hit points. I won't be able to do it fast enough to knock them out of it unless I hit them with an assassination. We're also getting insane amounts of XP from these guys. If it just stayed on +2, there'd be no hesitation at all, but I just don't know how a +3 boss, if we get a +3 boss, it's going to be rough. Let's say it that way. +2 boss is rough enough, but a +3 boss is going to be just brutal. Because it always just takes those more shots to take them out because they have more hit points and you do less damage to them combined. Right? Everything is scaled by the relative level. Now again, I think that these guys are okay. It's when it's a boss that it's going to be difficult. These guys aren't noticing. That's really weird. Until the lieutenant goes down. You can see, however, I'm still pretty well pouring out the damage. We're going to placate him. And then assassinate. I can still take out a good chunk of his hit points, even when not under buildup. But you can see what it's doing to my endurance. Especially if I miss too much. And you miss more when they're +3. Because I only have 66% chance to hit. Look at that. Yeah, so many blows to take them out. Right? It looks like they have nothing left. But for a guy like this, he has 1,000 almost hit points. So when he's down to a sliver of his hit point bar, it's still like 100 hit points. It's not just a few. So I'm not going to stalk the mission, but I'm also not going to defeat all unless it tells me to defeat all, because these guys are giving me enough XP and it's enough of a challenge that I don't feel like we need to clean the whole thing out. I should have grabbed endurance from those two guys. Alright, I'm going to stay on this guy and hope the other... You, come here. Come here, because I want to get the other guy to come back to me. The main thing I want to do is just get endurance. Of course, I recovered most of it anyway by that point. Miss, miss. Miss. Okay, so now we have a group of reds. We're going to have to see how we do against the spawn of 3 or 4 reds. I think we're going to need build up for all of these. So probably what I should have done was waited until I had build up triple slotted to make sure we can do it as often as possible. Couldn't get him. Double miss. Triple miss. Now we got 3 guys. Alright, give me your endurance, guys. Another miss. Another miss. Another miss. Look at this. And that's the problem with +3s. Now, if it seems too tough, we can always put it back. It's all that missing is annoying. That's annoying. Look at it. 3 in a row. I have a 64% chance to hit. 85, 68, 99. Just really annoying. Okay. Got him. For here now, you definitely have to stay and wait. Or I do anyway. I feel like I definitely have to stay and wait and make sure that that they don't respawn, because you definitely don't want to get reds and purples following you to the next spawn and then adding to it. One of the other problems, right, with all the missing is that if you miss with Siphon Life, that can really hurt you, right? Because then you're not gaining the hit points. So that's one I might want to put a second accuracy enhancement on. If we're going to be fighting +2s... Oh, hang on. Let's do this first. If we're going to be fighting +2s... then we're going to want to probably do double accuracy enhancers on a few things. Right? We're probably, not every power. This has an extra bonus to hit base. So this one's probably okay, but we're probably going to want to actually take one of these two off of here and put an extra accuracy on it. Maybe do a double accuracy on Shadow Punch and only double heal. Siphon Life and double heal. Maybe do double accuracy on Shadow Punch so that we hit more often with it, and take the endurance reducer out of it because it doesn't cost that much endurance or something. Because it's so much more likely you're going to miss at +3. Okay. This is definitely more challenge, right? This definitely feels like a more appropriate challenge. I just don't know how we're going to do on the +1, +3 bosses. The ones that are +1 to the mission. And the lieutenants go down easily enough, but lieutenants are not bosses. We face +2 bosses. But the freak show bosses in particular also are really tough. And then somebody mentioned Paragon Protectors, and how annoying they can be. Them at +3, they are going to be really frustrating. So we'll have to just see. I've never gone +2 this early, so I don't know how it's going to go. However, one thing you can see with this character soloing, we haven't done a +3 boss yet, but even +3 spawns, it's a little tough, but it's doable. And the +2 spawns, of course, already knew were fine. So those +2 lieutenants are just slightly over the amount of hit points that Assassin Strike does out of the assassination. Just a little bit over. Notice though, our health bar has been good. I haven't really had to use Energize but once or twice this whole mission. Not bad at all. I don't know where these bosses are. Yeah, these guys are... Oh, he's afraid of me, I guess. They're just like not even realizing you're there until you defeat their buddy. Which is a little weird. Because usually as soon as you attack, they notice. So many misses with 90% chance to hit. Who did on salvage? Alright. Oh, we found a couple runes. That's good. Build up. Assassin Strike. We probably will need our full tray of inspirations to fight +2 and +3 bosses. But that's normal. So somebody asked me way back in season 1, but I just read it today because that episode just came out today. Somebody asked me, what's my take on Statesman versus Positron? We were talking about these numbers and how originally they were not exposed to the player base, and he said, well, that was Statesman, right? And Positron was more in favor of exposing the numbers to the players. And so he asked me, what's your take on Statesman versus Positron? So I definitely liked, was it Matt Miller or something? Or Matt something? Positron. I definitely liked him better. I felt like he was much more willing to listen to player feedback, and also he didn't have some of the very specific biases that Statesman had. Right? Statesman had certain, what you want to call it, like beliefs, and these informed literally everything that he did and every decision he made, and there was no kind of trying to talk him out of it, even when those beliefs might have been antithetical to superheroes, right? So one of his big bugaboos, or whatever you want to call it, was there shall not be tank mages. He did not like tank mages. And so what's a tank mage? So a tank mage, that term comes from, get over here. That term comes from, I think, Ultima Online originally. The idea is that you have 2 different types of characters, right? You have the mage character, who is like a blaster in City of Heroes, or a defender where you're doing a lot of damage. Blaster, really. Where you're doing a lot of range damage, throwing fireballs and lightning bolts and magic missile and stuff like that. Can I please hit? With a 75% chance to hit, can I please hit at least 75% of the time? Another miss. The number of times that Assassin Strike has missed today. So, in most role-playing games, when you have character classes, you can either be a fighter or somebody like that who's a tank, right? Good at taking damage, not so good at dealing it out, taunting, and so on. That's what the tanker archetype is like here. Another miss. Gosh. I'm sorry, there's no way I'm hitting at 75% with all these misses, and 66% even. God, look at this. Look at. Alright, so I'm going to have to go back down to +1 because I can't take the misses. I really can't. That's just so aggravating. So anyway, in Ultima Online, because it was, I think, more of a free-form sort of a game, and I don't know if it was that you could multi-class or if that there weren't any classes. I don't know how it played because I didn't play Ultima Online. It was possible to make a character who both had the characteristics of a tank, heavy armor, etc., and the characteristics of a mage, doing lots of ranged damage. And so the kind of uber build, or whatever you want to call it, was to make a tank mage where you could kind of do both. You could be essentially a fighter magic user. And the fighter magic user character... Where the heck are the bosses? The fighter magic user character would be better than a fighter and better than a magic user, and basically everybody did it because it was like the uber build, right? And so you had people running around being like having heavy armor, swords, and throwing fireballs. And that was a tank mage. And Statesman hated that because it basically invalidated all the tanks, all the mages, and everybody else, right? And so he did not want there to be tank mages in City of Heroes, right? And so that is why blasters are, at least as originally designed, are glass cannons, right? They do huge amounts of damage. They draw tons of aggro from doing all that damage, and then they stop running. God, I hate runners. then uh, they draw all this aggro, and then they can't take it, and they get pounded. Right? They're fragile. If you're going to be doing damage, you can't be able to take it. Then you had tankers who could take a lot of damage, but their damage dealing was incredibly anemic, right? So they couldn't do damage; they could only take it, as it were. And so if you look at the like defenders, they could do a little bit of damage, but their main focus was buffing, and controllers could only buff and heal, right? They couldn't really do much damage at all. And the whole idea was that this forces players to team up because either you can't do damage or you can't take damage or you can't crowd control or whatever. And so, and that's the, look, what happened here? This was the end of the mission. There were no bosses? That's pretty weird. So anyway, the archetypes of City of Heroes were designed to be unsoloable, except for the Scrapper, which was designed to be good soloing. We finished that story arc, so we're going to start corporate culture. I'm going to leave it on plus. I'm going to leave it on +2 until I regret it. Until we faceplant, maybe, and then I'll put it back on +1. Let's see. I'm regretting it a little bit now, but we did okay, so let's try it. We'll stay on +2. I'm not putting it on ×2. That just makes it take longer. Like I'd rather do +2s than +1 ×2. It's just I like it's way then the spawns get too big and it just takes forever. So we're not doing that. Anyway, so one of the big bugaboos that Statesman had was he did not want there to be tank mages, which is why you have the separation. And so the Scrappers, they have both attack and defense. That's kind of against Statesman's philosophy, but they could only single target taunt, and their defenses weren't as good as tanks, and he kind of made it so that Scrappers didn't really have a good role on a team, right? You could put a Scrapper on a team, but no team ever said, look, team looking for LFS, looking for Scrapper. Right? No team in City of Heroes ever was looking for Scrapper. They're looking for tankers, they're looking for healers, defenders, they're maybe looking for controllers, they might be looking for blasters to do damage. Nobody was ever looking for Scrappers. The blasters could do better damage than they did, or equal damage. The tankers had better defenses. On a team, we complained. We have no role. There were lots of teams that wouldn't take Scrappers, guys. And so, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Positron who came up with the idea of critting against ranked. We said, let's be the boss killer. That's the role we want. Can you make us better against bosses? And he came up with the crits against bosses, right? And so we're just going to stand here and wait for this guy to come back. So so that was, I think it was either Castle or Positron's idea. I can't remember who. It wasn't Statesman. But Statesman did go along with it. And that gave Scrappers the crits, and we became the boss killers. And then people maybe were grudgingly willing to accept us on teams. But for the most part, Scrappers, they were kind of the melee tank mages, as it were, but they were only allowed because it was assumed that they were just for soloing and they wouldn't be as good on teams, and so they wouldn't be as desirable on teams, etc. Right? Statesman was trying to balance all of this so that no one archetype was better than the other, and there couldn't be tank mages. So, for instance, Statesman would hate the Sentinel class because the Sentinel does ranged damage like a blaster, but it also has good defense. So he wouldn't like that. Positron had no such biases. Positron was in charge of City of Villains. Statesman still agreed to it. So he must have been talked into it, but Positron was in charge of City of Villains, and if you look at the villain archetypes, right, the Dominators do control plus damage, right? And the Corruptors do buff plus damage, damage plus buff, right? They're like a reverse defender, so they do more damage, and then they do the buffing. And Brutes are almost as good as tankers in defense, but almost as good as scrappers in attack, right? So they're actually more like a melee tank mage than a scrapper is. And so Positron didn't have some of those preconceived, I don't know, biases or whatever against certain player behaviors, and so he wasn't trying to stop that, and he didn't mind it. And when he took over, then we got more. We get that power set diversification and all that stuff. That came from Positron because Statesman opposed having certain power sets because it made it too much like there was going to be tank mages, right? So that's one of the reasons I like Positron better. The other thing that Statesman really had a bugaboo about was he always, we used to call it the Statesman equation. He always wrote out risk equals reward, right? He never wanted you to be rewarded for something that didn't have any risk, right? And so, for example, walking over an Explorer badge and getting XP for it is probably something he would have opposed. I don't remember if they put that in initially. He was there when they put the Explorer badges in. And I think that was just if you walk over enough of them, you get an accolade, right? The right ones with the history badges and everything, you get an achievement or an accolade, and that gives you some buff, right? But that, like, a lot of those accolades and stuff have with them, okay, do this Explorer badge, but also defeat 50 freaks and complete so many missions and so on, because he wanted you to only get rewards after having undergone a bunch of risk, right? He didn't like players, player characters getting rewarded from when they didn't have any risk associated with what they were doing. And so that was another thing that Positron, I don't think really, not that he didn't care about it at all, but it wasn't as big a deal to him. And so he wasn't always trying to think in terms of risk versus reward. Whereas that was like a major thing that Statesman cared about more than anything else other than there shall not be tank mages, right? So I think Statesman was okay, but he was very stubborn about some of these philosophies or whatever you want to call it that he had, and there was no convincing him that maybe he should rethink it. No way. He wasn't going to. And where did this dummy go? Where is this stupid guy? You tell me he went all the way over here? I have no idea. Where did he go? How did he get over here without me seeing him? Now, on the other hand, I will say, Statesman, as I've said, was willing to test out stuff when people complained about things. He would go onto the servers and test it. He would get on the boards and he would discuss and debate. And you could reason with him. He wasn't always going to agree with you, but he could be reasoned with. And as I said in my comment, this kind of stands in contradistinction to the developers at the time in Star Wars Galaxies, who were absolutely impossible to reason with. And I ended up leaving that game because of the developers and what they did, right? Statesman never made me want to leave City of Heroes. When there was no difficulty slider and I was above this level, I think I was in the 40s. I think it was 42 or 3. And there was no difficulty slider. And all you could fight was white cons. I was bored out of my mind. And I was literally speed running every mission in the game, and there was absolutely no threat. As you can see, we're fighting +2s and 3s, right? +2.5s, let's call it. At level 32. How did you see me? Or did he wake up? Here. Go away. I was bored, right? And I was bored because white cons are no challenge to a scrapper or a stalker. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. White cons are no challenge to a scrapper or a stalker at this level. I'm going to be able to beat, what, 6 red cons here probably. All at once. But come here. Come here. Come here. Oh man, I gotta be careful not to aggro the guy back there. So why am I over here? Because I don't want to aggro. I'm trying not to aggro the guys who are watching the who are watching the. Oh, let's try this thing. You want to be disoriented? Didn't disorient any of them, and I'm just missing constantly. I do get tired of missing. Okay, that's good. We can... Did I not turn this on? I thought I turned this on. Oh, maybe not. Where did you come from? Of course I missed. Because why wouldn't I? So, I left City of Heroes not because I didn't like what the developers were doing, the way I did in Star Wars Galaxies. I left City of Heroes... okay, I can't take all the missing. We're going to go back to +1s. Like, I can't. The +2s are fine. The +3s, I just miss too much. I cannot take it missing almost half the time. It's just too annoying. I like the challenge, but I hate the missing. If I had focused accuracy, we might be okay. Right, that's that epic pool power. So yeah, so I left City of Heroes when you couldn't, there was no difficulty slider, and I was bored out of my mind as a scrapper playing fighting white cons, right? It was just too easy. And it had nothing to do with the developers being unpleasant, including Statesman, right? Like, I argued with him, but he wasn't bad, right? He, as a lead dev, he was fine. Now, I don't think he was as good as Positron. I think Positron was a much better lead dev. But I don't know if Positron would have been able to take this game from nothing to on the market without Statesman. I just don't know behind the scenes how much of that drive and motivation and everything came from specifically Statesman. I think a lot of it did. Right? He was very excited to have this game come out. He was like, this game was his idea. Like, my understanding of it is, and I don't know which of the devs, but the original team of devs on City of Heroes. That's it. Too much missing. I can't take it. Oh, I'm an idiot. I clicked the wrong thing. I clicked this instead of the disorient. That's what happened. Boy, I'm stupid. Well, that was dumb. I mean, it helped me for sure, but it was dumb. I can't take all the missing. We're going to go back to +1. It's not that I can't do it. It's too aggravating. I just get so aggravated when I miss like that. So my understanding is that originally the team at that started City of Heroes under Statesman, Jack Emmert, was a group of people who were Champions players who played together, and I think Jack, look at this, Emmert was their GM, right? So he GM Champions for them or whatever, and then somehow he got the idea, let's make an MMO like EverQuest, but let's do superheroes. And they agreed, and some of them could do computers, and he was more the idea man. He didn't know that much about computer stuff, but some of his friends did, and they started building this thing, which is pretty cool. Why is he only a lieutenant? That's pretty disappointing. Um, so assuming that's true, my guess is his leadership was probably key. Oops, hit the wrong thing. No, no. See, I got defeated. I hit the wrong thing. Well, I guess that's a legit defeat. Yeah, I hit the wrong thing. I hit the endurance thinking it was the heal, and I'm like, oh no, the heal's not up yet. Heal's over here. This is why I worry about keeping things too close together on the board, right on my hotbar, because then I lose track of which one's which. All right, let's sell this stuff off. Get a couple of blues. Sell that. Okay. And it's just a lieutenant. And he was only +2. So it's not really a problem. Shouldn't be. But yeah, I didn't... when I saw my health bar go down, I'm like, oh, I'll just click this. And I clicked that. Because this one wasn't up yet. And my brain just didn't think it until I hit it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the wrong thing. And then while I was animating, because that takes a long time to animate, they killed me. If it didn't take that long to animate, I clicked this, right? I would have actually healed up, but oh well. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that I didn't mind Statesman. I preferred Positron. That would be my summary. I think that there were, again, I think Statesman had some ideas that were very negative for the game, and there shall not be tank mages, right? We argued on the beta forums, pre-beta forums, before, like when they were just talking about the archetypes and they announced the archetypes and everything, we all came on and said, but what about somebody like Superman? Oh, you can't make up a Superman. It wouldn't be fair, right? There shouldn't be tank mages. And we tried to argue, many of us, by definition, most superheroes are tank mages. And somebody argued, if you just let everybody be a tank mage, you don't have to worry that tank mages are too powerful, right? The problem with tank mages isn't that they exist, but that there are non-tank mages, right? And the non-tank mages are... I also, by the way, was too impatient to hit build up. The non-tank mages are at a disadvantage. But if everybody's a tank mage, which is true in a lot of superheroes, right, then it doesn't matter that you have tank mages because everybody's one. So you don't have to worry about it being unfair. Ugh, I hear one of them getting up. Man, I have to tell you, I feel like these last two missions, maybe it has to do with the relative level, but I feel like almost every one of them rezzed. Other times, none of them res. Let's save the hostage first. So yeah, I mean, I think Statesman was okay, but let's try the Disorient now. Do it correctly. Did I miss every single one of them? No, I got a couple of them. That's not bad. It doesn't last long, though. Oh, there he goes. Just the constant missing. I can't deal with it, guys. It's not the faceplant. I don't care about that. It's the constant missing. I cannot take it. Okay, so... Well, I learned two things. One, this character really can do +2 missions. No problem. Two, I don't want to do them. Because it's just too much missing. So we're going to go back. We're going to set the difficulty back to +1. And let's call our contact. Philippa Moreau. So now we have to arrest Cyber the Damager. Yeah, I gotta watch that thing. Overload was not the right thing to press. That's the other problem I had. Because I could have hit that as a panic power if I'd needed, but it was still recharging because I meant to hit this. So, and I don't know why I did that, because this one is on my attack bar. And this is not, other than the Nemesis staff, this is not my attack bar. It's my utility bar, and that's my defense bar. Right? I separate them that way purposely so I don't do the wrong thing, and I did the wrong thing. So that was just me being an idiot. So yeah, I made a couple of mistakes there. Mistakes that probably wouldn't have got me killed against +1s and +2s, but could get you killed against +3s. Although the guy at the end there that killed me was not a +3, he was a +2. Come on. So sick of missing. Oh, these guys are so annoying. He reses, okay, bad enough, now I gotta fight you again, but then he runs. We gained a ton of XP though, guys. Well, we opened Season 3 with a faceplant. Hopefully you guys found that entertaining. I really do like fighting the purple lieutenants and stuff, and I really wanted to see if I could beat a +3 boss. But I can't deal with the constant whiffing. Bad enough at 75%, as you can just see there twice against that guy, but I definitely don't want to be whiffing as much as I was doing against the +3s. It's just not enjoyable. So if I'm going to go +3, I'm going to need some more accuracy on these powers. And or focused accuracy as a toggle, which is very endurance intensive. Of course, we do have the ability with this character to replace our endurance. So there is that. More missing. These, I feel like +2 is the sweet spot for us. That's why I would like to go on +2 missions. It's just that there are so many +3s in +2 missions. If it was just occasional, just once in a while or something, I wouldn't care. But when it's like often half the mission, it's just so frustrating to miss over and over like that, especially with Assassin Strike. Alright, I'm going to wait for the build-up this time against this Red Lieutenant. There we go. Not bad. I feel like we missed something back here. Yeah. So we just need cyber the damage, though I don't know that we need to clean out this base. We just need cyber. Next level we get 3 slots, so that's good. I love the levels where you get 3 slots. New powers are fun, but I learned in City of Heroes that the most important levels are the ones where you get slots. I hear Saiba, I think. There he is. Saiba the Damager. I guess the Damager. Alright. He's only +1, so I'm not going to worry about using inspirations yet. Placate. Got him. Okay, so that's Saiba. But we're going to need to probably defeat everybody in this area. So yeah, guys, a +1 boss, even a freak show tank like that, no problem. Didn't even need inspirations. Oh, there were more guys down the hall. I clicked too fast. Oh well. Alright, we're at 47 minutes, so I guess that's probably a good place to stop. We got a new recipe. This is ranged AoE. We do not need that. We don't have ranged AoE. Let's see. It's not worth anything, so we'll just sell it. And we now have the ability to make a damage and an endurance and a recharge. So let's head to the base and do that. Where's... It's over here, right? No, no, no. I don't want to go here. I want to go to the base. Over here. One thing they did at Homecoming is they moved the base portals around to more reasonable places because some of them were in pretty odd spots. And they made it so that when you come out of the base portal in a zone, you go next to the base portal instead of in some seemingly random spot. Okay. We don't need these yet because we have SOs, but we can go ahead and create these. And put them right here. And there we go. Any orange salvage? We do. We have one. Let's come over here and click. Drop that in. And we have yellow salvage, so we can come over here. That's full. Guess we're working on this one. Yep. So yellow salvage. There we go. That fills up the racks. All right, folks, I think we're in pretty good shape. We're halfway through level 32. We're working on corporate culture, which we will continue in the next episode. I hope you have enjoyed. Hope you got entertained watching me faceplant like a dummy. And until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes soloing the Stalker.